Welcome. The Cowboy Spirit Radio Network is proud to present one of our premier programs. Here we go. From Prescott, Arizona, and the Sharlot Hall Museum is Stuart Rosebrook and his friends and guests for Arizona Roundup. The program begins right now.
Welcome to Arizona Roundup with Stuart Rosebrook at Sharlot Hall Museum in Prescott, Arizona. My special guest this week is Barry Barbe.
Special guest.
Special guest.
I like that. Special.
That's exactly right. And Barry, you and I have gotten to know each other a little bit over the last few months here as I've started at Sharlot Hall Museum. And I've been really looking forward to having you on the show to talk a little bit about, your entrepreneurship here in Prescott. You've got a lot of irons in the fire, as they say, but I wanted to step back a little bit. I was intrigued when I read a little bit about your biography. I went to school in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I went to Wake Forest. And I noticed that before you and your family moved to Arizona, you had lived in South Carolina for quite a few years. Is that your home state?
No, I'm from Ohio originally.
Okay.
I went to Hiram College, a little small liberal arts school up there, and then had some health issues with my throat and moved to South Carolina. And so I went to school at Johnson Wales in Charleston.
Oh, yeah,
and
sure.
I met my wife in Hilton Head, South Carolina.
All right.
Yeah.
So, and again, where in Ohio did you grow up?
Northeast corner, about 50 miles southeast of Cleveland. It's called Bristolville.
All right.
Little small town. So if you're in Warren, Youngstown, it's kind of that little area. Yeah.
Ohio is one of those kind of mother states. I have on my father's family, I think my mother's family too, both have some descent. My grandfather was born in Cincinnati.
Everyone comes from Ohio.
That's right. That's exactly right. So your family... You moved, you went down to college in Charleston, South Carolina, which is kind of a foodie town.
I love Charleston. I love the food. We spent a lot of time growing up in North Carolina.
Okay.
My family did vacations, holidays, stuff like that. And then I just fell in love with Southern cuisine. And so when I picked the school, that was one of the reasons. And it's a great area for foodies and everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So... how far were you from Winston-Salem when you'd come down for vacations to
we were Cape Hatteras.
Oh, how beautiful is that?
We were Cape Hatteras every year.
Wow.
Cape Hatteras, Ocracoke, all the Outer Banks.
So did you have family from the Outer Banks?
No, we just went there and visited. We spent probably at least 2 months every summer there, and then we spent our holidays there sometimes.
Right. Yeah. You're the second person I've met here in Prescott who's been to Ocracoke.
Oh, yeah.
And we have a volunteer here. That's where her family is from.
She was
born there.
Yeah.
And that is a magical little spot on that.
Well, I lived, when I was at Hilton Head, I actually lived on Defusky Island.
Okay.
Which is off the coast. It's like across the sound from Hilton Head.
Right.
And so for years I took a boat to work. And then I lived there for about a year. No paved roads, no grocery stores, no anything like that. And so my backyard was basically looks like the sound from the Prince of Tides. Wow. That was literally, that was my whole, and I loved it. So I was there for a while. And so Defusky is a lot it's much smaller than Ocracoke, obviously.
Smaller.
But yeah.
That's small.
Yeah, it was small.
Right?
It was small, yeah.
So, and I think what's also interesting is knowing a little bit more about where you grew up as a young adult and spent time there in the in North Carolina, South Carolina, is your interest in cooking and your palate, and that's a part of the country where history and food come together.
Oh yeah. Every dish has a story.
Right?
Yeah, every dish has a story.
And so is that where you start to get inspired to be a chef, to be a restaurateur, or is it
I grew up in a small town, 60 kids in our graduating class, 40 to 60, I can't remember. I think it's I say 45, someone else says 60, whatever. It doesn't really matter when we get that small.
That's right.
But anyways, grew up in a small farming community. We all have big gardens. We all canned. We all, butchered, had chicken, everything.
You know where your food came from.
You know where your food came from, yeah. And and a lot of really good home cooks in that part of the country. And so it kind of started there. And then when I got down into the Carolinas, we did a lot of fishing and, catching crabs and,
right,
clamming and all that, shrimping and all that stuff. And he's just kind of evolves into it, I think. And then when I got into culinary school, I just found out it basically like I was really good at pairing flavors.
mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I'm really good at this.
Right.
And it's kind of those weird things. You can be a really good cook, but if you don't know how to, if you can follow a recipe is one thing, but being able to create a dish from one item, saying like, here's an avocado, make me a dish out of an avocado that's not guacamole, that sometimes is a challenge.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
And you're making me think about hush puppies and
hush puppies, yeah,
and soft shell crabs.
Hush puppies, soft shell crab cakes. Oh yeah,
yeah, and salt in the air, and but also that what I notice here in Prescott is also kind of crossroads of culture, because that's a part of the country that's informed by a lot of different groups and their palettes of food there in South Carolina.
Right. Excuse me. But one thing you have to realize is there is so much similarities between the different cultures and cuisine. When my first restaurant in town was called Belvedere's, and it was a country French and Creole. So country French all comes down into New Orleans.
Right.
That's where the French influence in New Orleans. They had the Creole influence there. So you've got the heavy, cheaper, more affordable dishes of stews that are really super spicy to, kind of covered a lot of the not so nice parts about that dish. And then you got the crepes and things like that, which is the Cajun side. So it's really, and then you've got, when you get into the Southwest here, things like cumin and all those are seasonings that are also found and used in Mideast cooking,
right.
and Mediterranean cooking and things like that. So the palate really has come full circle when you get into the Southwest. You've got the Native American influence, but then you've also got the Spanish influence. You've got, when people came from the Northeast, you've got the German influence. You've got that coming across. So you've really, in a lot of ways, Southwest cuisine and culture is really, it's a melting pot. If you, to be silly, use a silly word, but it is. It's a combination of flavors that you're going to find in different places. Curries, cumin, all those different things.
Right.
So cilantro, cilantro everywhere. Yeah.
So your family picked up and you left South Carolina sometime in the 90s and came to Phoenix area to start with?
No, actually, well, my wife is from Mesa.
Oh, okay.
So I met my wife in Hilton Head.
All right.
We had 2 children there, and then we moved out after evacuating. I want to say it was 3 times in 1 year for hurricanes, and she was like pregnant.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to start planning the move. And so we left there and we came to Phoenix first for about 8 months. The original plan was going to go to Colorado. That was where we were going to go. And too much snow, too cold, and too expensive.
Right.
And then I had a friend who had an acquaintance up here at a restaurant, and that's how we kind of got up here. So, yeah.
So I noticed today when I was doing a little research on your history of restaurants, what was the first place
There's
you
been
opened?
A few.
Yeah, and there's going to be some more. I understand.
There's going to be some more. Yeah, well, actually, my first project opening restaurant was with one of my previous owners, Adam Rosica, out in Hilton Head, South Carolina. I opened a small cafe with him. He had an Italian restaurant that was super popular. And then we opened a small cafe that I opened for him. I wasn't an owner, but went through the experience of doing it. Then came out here. I worked at Zuma's as a general manager and the chef there. And then within a very short period of time, my first restaurant was Belvedere's on Cortez Street, country French and Creole, probably about 15 to 20 seats in the front, maybe, if that. And then we made a small room in the back that had about 8 or 9. And so that was the first one. And then within a year, I opened 120 American Jazz Grill, which is also on Cortez Street. It's where Papa's is now.
Okay.
Then went back and bought Zuma's and turned that into Nolan's. That's where, who's there now?
And where was Zuma's?
Zuma's is where, Taj Mahal is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right now. So, and then, let's see, then it was...
That's a big space.
It was a big space. It was a big space. It was, that when we were there, it was like incredible. It was the place to go in town. Everybody went there. We have huge bands there. The patio would be packed. It was a great time.
And that's an era when restaurants were really growing here in Prescott.
Well, yeah, because when we came into town, when it was really, we were still pretty much a steak and potato place. You know, it was Murphy's and a couple other places that were really traditional fare. There were some other places that had opened smaller that didn't work out. So when we started Belvedere's, that was kind of the start of a new generation, so to speak, of restaurants in Prescott. And then as we grew, and we saw people say, hey, you can actually make this work here. Then we saw other guys coming into town and doing things. And so when we got, at that point in time, there was a lot of networking between the restaurants. I've always said we're not competitors, we're colleagues.
Right.
And, and that really made us, we really helped each other out. You need something. I've had guys borrow refrigerators from me, literally, and wheel them down the street.
Sure.
So it was really a fun time, and so that was about, 20, I've had El Gato now for 20 years. So it was about 25 years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to take a short break, and we're going to come back and talk a little bit about your current restaurants. You got a new one opening up here real soon, and we're going to learn a little bit more about that great era of restaurants here in Prescott, Arizona.
Thank you, Barry. Thank you, Stuart. This program is going to be delicious. Hi, my name is Stan. I'm the radio man. I'm the leader of the Cowboy Spirit Radio Network. And it was my privilege and pleasure to encourage Stuart to do exactly what he's doing right now. He was a writer, an editor, a historian, and now he's a broadcaster. And this program has been going now for about 16 episodes, and it's going great, going well. Got a listening audience around the world, and we're so glad about that. And thank you for being one of those listeners. And we want to thank especially when we began, 4 sponsors stepped forward, on faith charter people who just said, we believe in what you're doing and we'd like to help. So we want to thank those 4 charter sponsors. Here we go. Elkhorn and Horn, where they say, be heard. Prescott True Value Hardware, which is more than just a hardware store, and Blind Brothers of Arizona, and they do custom, you got it, custom work just for you, and Pinion Painting, and they are particularly known for an eye for every detail. So we want on this particular program, special program, to thank them once again for sponsoring in the early months of this fine program, and we hope that they'll continue to support us, and we hope you will continue to support these fine businesses.
Welcome back to Arizona Roundup with Stuart Rosebrook at Sharlot Hall Museum in Prescott, Arizona. And my special guest today is Barry Barbe, and we've been talking about great restaurants. The tale of the tape, as I would say, his trail from into the restaurant business. I was very intrigued to hear about growing up in Ohio and then to move to South Carolina, North Carolina, and as a kid who grew up in Los Angeles. When I went to school in North Carolina and then going down to the beach in Myrtle Beach, just being introduced to whole new foods that do not in the 70s and 80s you could not find in Los Angeles.
Oh, yeah.
And probably still can't find a lot of it. You have to really search for it in LA. LA's become a pretty big food city. And what's interesting about Arizona is Arizona's grown in the 80s, and the people have brought their dreams with them to Arizona, and many of them have brought their favorite foods. And I'd say that Arizona really has a great restaurant culture. And I think in Prescott, you were kind of on the front end of changing that. I started to think about my time coming into Prescott in the 70s and 80s and early 90s, and there was just 4 or 5 restaurants that were the standbys. And if you wanted a hamburger, this is when you went
with the Kendall's.
You went to Kendall's. You wanted a burrito, you went to El Charro.
Correct.
And then there was you went up the Pinecone Inn, and for a while the mining company. Right. And there was a steak place above the Palace for a while too. Yep. And what was the name of the Mexican Chinese food restaurant? Was it the Vaquero? El Vaquero?
Oh my gosh, I know. But it's really funny because I have a couple of customers. We play this game.
Okay.
Remember what?
Right.
Like what was there before that? And you can go back like 3-4 businesses.
Right.
And go, no, remember like the 80s, that place there right in the middle of Gurley Street. Oh, Greens and Things. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Or, yeah. So, yeah.
I think, but it was, I've come across this a few places across the West where you could find Mexican and Chinese food. And I believe the Mexican food restaurant, it's over where, I think it's near where the Wendy's is, over on near Fair Street, not too far around the corner from Tormenta.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
That was a standby. If you got off the plaza and you wanted to go for better Mexican food, that's where you went. Or at least that's my memories.
I'll do some research on that one.
And so I like this evolution of your restaurant. So Belvedere to the present, you're about to start a new restaurant that you and what's that called?
Well, the new one. I'm sorry. The new one that I'm getting ready to open is, I'm actually calling it my hobby restaurant, which my wife is like, you don't need a hobby restaurant. So it's over on Miller Valley, 623 Miller Valley Road. It's a small place. It's been, if you've been in town for a while, it was Roman's Deli, long time ago. Okay. And then it was Bigga then a couple owners through Bigga, and then we have it. And it's just kind of one of those things I had no intention of doing another restaurant. I had some stuff going on out in Prescott Valley, so I wasn't really looking to do anything. And it just kind of came up like, well, I just couldn't pass it up, and it sounded like a fun thing to do.
It's Shirley's Urban Eats?
Shirley's Urban Eats.
And that's kind of I'd say that's a little restaurant row over there. I mean, if you go down Miller Valley Road.
It's getting there.
Yeah. I found that there's a whole lot going on over in that.
Well, the outside of town. Well, the funny thing is, we looked at, when I did Gourmet over there, it was our 4th year now. When I looked at that location, I was like, what are you doing? I said, there's nowhere else to grow in town. Everything's going to come this side, and it's going to merge right in the middle of all this. Right. So that's why, I like that area a lot over there, Miller Valley.
Yeah.
So.
And so it sounds like people could walk between your two, so you could have a little.
I do it all the time.
Yeah, you have a little appetizer, drink, and
exactly.
walking over the other.
Yeah.
It sounds like it could be. I'm like, hey, what are you doing tonight? Well, I'm a little Barry Barbe restaurant crawl.
Yeah, we're gonna do at Shirley's is it's more of a cultural cuisine menu.
Okay.
It's a lot of foods that I don't like, and you're not ever going to see them on the same menu ever. You're not going to see green curry pork and a banh mi and a torta and falafel and matzo ball soup and macaroni and cheese and fried chicken all on the same menu anywhere except for this place.
Well, I think I don't think your wife would like for me to suggest you take your restaurant ideas to Los Angeles, but there was a famous one we would go to. It was called Yamashura's.
Okay.
And it was right outside Warner Brothers. My dad loved to go there. And Yamashura's was a Chinese kosher restaurant.
Oh, really?
And so you could get matzo ball soup.
Yeah.
And fried wontons. And you get a Chinese and Jewish deli experience at the same place.
That's a circle. Yeah, I love Jewish deli. There's a place in Cleveland called Corky and oh my gosh, what is it? Lenny and Corky's. Corky and Lenny's, I think it's this incredible Jewish delicatessen in Cleveland. Oh my gosh, incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it sounds like though, you might have one of those days where there might be a little,
We're doing a little, it's just all the stuff that I keep coming across ideas and I've always wanted to do that and I really like this. And it's all the things we do, the way we do our food is that, one of these things called pings. And so, and my best example I use is when you order an Alfredo a lot of times at a restaurant, about halfway through you're bored, you're like, I'm full. It might be full, true, because, it's heavy, but most times your taste buds get bored. So we have these things called pings. So you'll get a little taste of nutmeg, so when we do a curry, it's not only yellow curry, it's cumin, it's all these other things blended together. Whereas if you go and have curry at a lot of restaurants, it's going to be curry. It's curry powder. Right. That's it.
Right.
And so we really are it's intentionally unintentional to add these different flavors and so you don't get bored. And that's why I like the idea of having so many different things on the menu that make no sense. They don't belong together.
Right.
But you go to a restaurant, I'm going to be intrigued if I see matzo ball soup and, pork curry or, a meatball sub on the same menu. It's going to be good. So we'll see.
All right. Well, let's take a break there. We're going to come back and talk a little bit more about what's going on at the Hazeltine and what we can expect at some of the this summer at some of your restaurants.
The program keeps getting better And tastier, doesn't it? Hey, once again, this is Stan the Radio Man, the Cowboy Spirit Radio Network. I've been involved in radio for many, over 40-some years, hard to believe, around the world. And I was one of the inventors of podcasting, and I was the one who helped Stuart expand his skills and now becomes a really good broadcaster. And you know what? Together, we would like to offer you the opportunity, your business, your great cause, the thing that will make you different. We want to help you bring your message to life because it's time for you to get involved in the streaming media of podcasting in order to reach your audience. And again, bring your message to life and make your mark in the marketplace. Make an impact. Make income. So if you'd like to perhaps talk about that, Stuart and I would be glad to see if we can do it to help you get on the radio too. So reach out to me at Stan, S-T-A-N, at witradio.net, Stan at witradio.net. You might just thrive in 25 and be on the air. I hope so.
Welcome back to Arizona Roundup with Stuart Rosebrook at Sharlot Hall Museum, and my guest today is Barry Barbe, and we were talking about great restaurants, his new restaurant, Shirley's Urban Eats, and I thought we'd talk a little bit about you've gone kind of 90 degrees or 180 degrees into the theater business.
Yeah.
And the Hazeltine. Now,
Hazeltine. Excuse me. You're fine. I think we should have changed the name and the spelling and made it a Y instead of an I-10, but I guess we could do that because it's someone's name.
Right.
But at least everyone I would have to correct
Hazeltine.
I get corrected all the time, so you're fine. Hazeltine, though. Yes.
At the Hazeltine. And for my daughter was in town for her birthday. It was over Easter. Mm-hmm. And we went and saw The Murder on the Orient Express. That was a special night out for the four of us. My son is in town as well. And we went out and had a fabulous time. It's so intimate, and it's just, you're right there. The actors were so engaged. And there's Toni Tennille.
Yeah.
In the middle of it.
Yeah.
So I shook her hand afterwards. I'm like, I just met Toni Tennille.
I know. See, I know.
It is just... and I got to tell you, what you're doing for the community and your team that has kept the theater alive here in Prescott downtown. We have lots of theater groups and people who are acting and support the arts. What a big step to bring people together and say, we need to do this.
Well, it was not a small undertaking, and it was one of the things that I was super passionate about. My children and myself have been involved in the theater. I've done shows there a few times, and my kids are involved in quite a few programs. And it was more than that. It was just, it was something that, like you said, that theater is so intimate and so, there's something different about that theater, that you're not going to get in other places. Our max seating is 150 people. We could do some other things, add some more, but basically about 150. You go to a place that's, even the Elks, which has over 400, which is still fairly intimate. But then most of us experience theater in places like down at Gamage and stuff like that, or at our high school in the auditorium. This is a situation where it was once a Catholic church. And so it maintains that, characteristics of a church. And there's some quirks about it, some poles in weird places, but there's something about it that really just makes it all work. And when it was going out, I made a business plan basically and sent it out to a few friends of mine, people that are either in business or nonprofits. Said, what do you think? You think this could work? And overwhelmingly we got yes, but they said, where are you going to get the money? That's really what it was. Right. And so we worked hard. I put together a board. We got we're kind of nonprofit status. We created LLC all within like a month. Within 2 months, we were doing our first productions. We were able to bring together the correct people to get the funding for it. And that took us about 2 months. So the theater itself closed in August. In December, we were open again and that just tells you how much that means to the community and how passionate they are about that and how they appreciate that. In normal Hazeltine, who gifted that in 1967 to the Prescott Fine Arts Association. I don't think she had any idea what she was doing. I think she knew what she was doing, but for that legacy to be continuing 50 plus years, and now it'll be a theater from here on out. So it could be a theater from the 50, 100 years.
Right.
And there's so much we want to do with that campus. We want to do some outside events. We want to do some courtyard tenting and things. So it's going to be there's going to be a lot going on. But we got through the worst.
Right.
Through the worst of it.
And you've got a great lineup coming up this spring and summer.
We got a great lineup.
Anticipate. Now, is it going to be a mix of regular dramatic theater as well as musical theater?
It's a combination. So Fourth Wall Productions is the nonprofit entity there. They are the producing company. They do 4 productions every year, 2 dramas, 2 musicals, and then they'll do some other things as we go on further. And then my company, Marine Events and Productions, is where you can come out. Like we have the Western Heritage Museum is doing a murder mystery.
Oh, that's right. Uh-huh.
We have the Prescott Jazz Summit is doing a brunch there. We have some local musicians doing some things. Right now we have Footlights and the Movement Studio at Prescott Valley, which is a youth theater production. They've rented this space from us. So we're doing it. So we're bringing in, Ingrid, I can't remember Ingrid's last name. She's doing a story that Shirley Chisholm experienced in late August and September.
Okay.
It's a one-woman show. So we've got a really nice mix of stuff. So we've got the consistency of the local community theater that anybody who wants to audition for can. And then we have the other side, which is other people looking to produce their own events, present their own events. You can use it for weddings, for presentations, for lecture series, all sorts of things.
Movie screenings?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're getting a new movie. We have it screened right now, but we're getting a new one. And we just went to a full surround sound.
Okay. So
Helen Stevenson with the Prescott Film Festival is on our board.
Oh, that's
and
wonderful.
So we're going to be doing, we also have the Prescott Film Society is also, they rented a space from us. They have Randy's Showbiz video is there. And so they're going to be doing some shows there as well. So there's a lot going on.
That's fantastic.
An awful lot going on.
I helped, I think it was in 2021, they showed Junior Bonner there.
Oh, yeah, sure.
It was a great full house.
Yeah.
And, you have a little commentary on
Perfect
the film.
space for that.
It's perfect, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that, Prescott, I don't know if everyone really knows that Prescott has been on the front end of the arts and culture for a very long time.
Oh, yeah.
With the territorial capital, we attracted theater, we attracted theater companies, but very early on, this is where movie making started in Arizona. Mm-hmm. Sharlot Hall herself had a literary community that she was at the front end of. I think she's people underestimate her importance to as an essayist, as a poet, as a writer, and then artists, whether Kate Corey or George Phippen. So this is a very strong art community.
Oh, yeah.
And I try to, through my podcasts and in lectures and everything, is really get Prescott can really own that. This is one of the cultural centers of the state, mm-hmm. and we shouldn't give that away to other communities.
Well, it's really multifaceted also. There's not any, we've got everything, the genre that are represented in town. You talk about, sculptors. I mean, Coleman and all these other guys are just incredible. Right. To all the artists and
John Waddell was up in Sedona.
Exactly. Then you've got the musicians and you've got drama, you've got writers, and it really is amazing, really amazing community.
It is. And the cowboy poets.
Yeah.
So
how did I forget that?
And
almost.
That's the thing is that I think this is really people talk about you want to go on the artist trail or the cultural trail of Arizona. Prescott's one of those stops.
Oh, definitely.
It should be considered from southern Arizona, which has its own arts and culture, all the way to the border. We're one of those stops that people should put on their list if they want to enjoy.
I agree with you.
Enjoy our state. And Prescott's right there at the top.
And it's right in the middle. It's easy access.
Exactly. All right, we're going to take one more break, and then we're going to come back and wrap it up.
Okay.
And this is Stan finishing up with round 3. The thing I particularly liked about what Stuart decided to do was as he was leading the Sharlot Hall Museum and having a program that would promote that museum, but he also decided to promote Prescott. what I call the Mile High Cowboy City, and again, everybody's favorite hometown. And so he was very much in the business of saying, we not only want to help Sharlot Hall, we want to help our neighbors and our business partners throughout the community. And that's part of what we do. Hey, by the way, if you'd like to be a sponsor of the ongoing Sharlot Hall Museum, Arizona Roundup, we would love to have you as a sponsor. So let's talk about that with Stuart or with me, and we'll see what we can arrange that is good for you and good for us. And by the way, we have a special offer. If you work with us on these projects for Sharlot Hall Museum, we'll be glad to help you with radio or video advertising on your website, your web stage where you perform, or on your other social media projects. We'll help you not only do a good program and a promo on our program, we'll help you do it all around the other digital marketing arenas. So once again, reach out to me at stan@witradio.net, stan@witradio.net, or reach out to Stuart at the Sharlot Hall Museum, and he'll tell you a little bit about what we can do to work together. All the best and blessings.
Welcome back to Arizona Roundup with Stuart Rosebrook at Sharlot Hall Museum. I'm here with my guest, Barry Barbe, and we're having a great time this afternoon talking about restaurants, his career, coming from South Carolina to Arizona, and being on the front end of the growth of restaurants and entrepreneurism in cooking here in Prescott and introducing people to lots of variety of interesting food. And one of the restaurants right around the corner from Sharlot Hall Museum is El Gato Azul.
Oh yeah.
And I'll tell you, I'm gonna start lobbying for some for some hush puppies.
Oh yeah.
But I want there's gonna be
that might work at Shirley's. Like maybe
there you go.
That might work.
Right?
I know.
And this coming on the 17th, not this weekend, but on the May 17th, Sharlot Hall will be hosting its annual fundraiser called Sharlot Cellar, and you've been a part of that special event for many years.
Yeah.
And we bring together restaurants and restaurateurs and chefs paired with superior wines and now local beer from Lazy G, with mead from the
Superstition,
Meadery,
of course,
and as well as mocktails. And we have a beautiful evening plan on Saturday the 17th from 4 to 7. And tell me a little bit about what's happening from your side.
Well, you're really underselling your event, by the way.
Oh,
it's absolutely the best. It is the best. So everyone always likes to do these wine experiences and pairings. This is one that is exceptional and done much better than most I've been to. What's so great about it, one, your grounds are incredible. You've got beautiful grounds. There's plenty of space. It's not packed with people. You monitor the amount of people that come in, so everybody has a nice experience and don't feel like they're standing in line for stuff all the time instead of sitting down enjoying it. You've got, the rose garden. You've got are the buildings going to be open?
I'm going to find out about that. Right now, there may be at least the transportation hall might be open. Okay. And the grounds right now, we're named an arboretum, are beautiful.
And do we have music this year?
Music. Yeah, we've got members of the Phoenix Symphony who will be here.
See, look at you. Look at all the stuff you left out.
Yeah.
You went right for the booze.
And we've got jazz will be playing on campus. It's a beautiful evening under the canopy here at Sharlot Hall Museum.
And it's even more fun when you have a monsoon come through in the middle of it.
Well, we're not.
One year that did that. I was like,
my gosh.
It was actually the best memory. People remember that more than anything else they ever did.
Right. So, were you in Phoenix? Did you ever attend an event called Noche de Gourmet down there?
No, I did not.
So, I was in a 2030 club down in Phoenix in the 80s and early 90s. And that's what Mark Tarbell was a member of the 2030 club at the time. And he was, and of course, he's gone on Tarbell's down in Phoenix. But that event, what became so crowded, we would hold it at different places in town, and you'd have 700 people at the event, and you stood in line for food, and you got a little tiny plastic cup with a little wine. But our event is completely opposite.
Yours is great.
Very sophisticated, very casual, and at the same time, very sophisticated for Prescott. It's really, I think, one of our really premier events here.
So do you do the 3 entrances?
Yep.
So that's what's great about it, because you get to come in. You come in one of the 3 entrances. You come in the parking or off of Gurley Street or off of Marina. McCormick.
Right.
You know, so you're not waiting in line forever. Right. And so for us, we're doing 2 items at each restaurant. We're doing some stuff from El Gato Azul. We're doing things from Torme, and we're also doing things from Shirley's. So that's a little preview. We won't be open yet. I think we're doing a pork belly taco on one. We're doing a fried chicken cup that I love. I got this killer fried chicken recipe from Shirley's. We're doing octopus, a grilled octopus salad. That's coming from. I know it's really good. Wow. If you like octopus, it's phenomenal. If you don't like octopus, it's phenomenal. And I don't know who the other restaurants are that are coming, but I know there's a lot of other good people here too.
Oh, we're gonna have a big lineup, and
so who we got here then? All right, so who do we have this year? Now, mostly some of these guys are new guys though this year. So you got us. You got the Palace.
Oh yeah.
Talking Rock. Russo's is the cheesecake place, and then you got Bistro St. Michael. Lazy G for the beer, and then you've got Superstition. Triple Creek's going to be here.
And Talking Rock.
And we're Talking Rock, too. I don't know what Triple Creek is doing. And who is this one? I can't read that. I'm really sorry. I can't read that one. But they're all really good guys. They're all, going to bring their game. And the fun thing is it's not a competition, but we all bring our A game.
Gingerly.
Gingerly Catering, yeah.
That's right.
Steak 48.
Steak 48 is going to be paired with Lazy G Brew House.
How'd you get Steak 48 up here?
Well, this is Sharlot Hall Museum. We're getting a great group here.
I know, that's a good one.
Yeah, and we've got great sponsors from the Courier to Impact Fire, APS, Pinion Painting, Finley Toyota, Blind Brothers, Ruffner Wakeland, Fit Body, Allen's Flowers, and Arizona Cap and Apparel. We've got great sponsors as well.
And where do you get your tickets?
You can get your tickets at charlottehallmuseum.org. charlottehallmuseum.org, and you purchase your tickets. We still got tickets available, and we hope that you'll all come out and support us.
There you go.
So, Barry, can you come back on our show sometime?
Sure, anytime. If you come on mine.
I sure will. I'll promise you, I'd love to come on your show.
All right, sounds good.
All right, Barry, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
You bet. We'll see you next week on Arizona Roundup at Sharlot Hall Museum.
Well, that's a wrap, folks, and thank you very much for being a part of Arizona Roundup, and we are so grateful that you are with us. Please recommend us to others, and perhaps you'd like to contact Stuart and say, I'd like to be a part of this program. I have something that I could share, and we certainly could work together to make the Sharlot Hall Museum experience something for many people right here in Prescott and around Arizona, maybe even around the world. So reach out to us at charlottehallmuseum.org. Here we go, charlottehallmuseum.org. Wishing you all the best and blessings, as we oftentimes say, walk tall, ride safe. Take care of one another, tip your hat. It's the Cowboy Way coming your way from Prescott, Arizona, the mile-high cowboy city. Wishing you all the best till next time, and bye for now.